The life of the Nintendo 3DS may be finally coming to an end, but with 2018 rapidly approaching, there's still 10 games that we can look forward to, or at least know about, that are coming out on this older console. And before you disagree with me and argue, Elijah, the 3DS isn't dead yet, just look at Nintendo's website. There's only 8 games announced on their website for the 3DS as opposed to the 55 plus for the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon, which is a major handheld seller, is now going to be switching to the Switch. But the 3DS still has a little bit of life left into it, and besides the amazing catalog of games that have come out throughout its life cycle, there's still a couple more games coming out that we can have on our radar. Today on Rocket Sloth, we are taking a look at 10 Nintendo 3DS games that you can pick up in 2018. Number 1, which is the biggest announcement that we know about so far, unless Nintendo decides they're gonna juke us out and announce another major 3DS game, is Kirby Battle Royale for the 3DS. This game is more of like a brawling, fighting type game style as opposed to the typical platformer we're used to, but if you're a fan of Kirby, this game might be for you. Sure, there was a demo that was released in October and it got mixed to negative reviews, but you never know, this game might actually have tightened up some of the issues that players had for its final release, and it could be a great game. I would just say hold off on purchasing anything until you actually see like some other reviews out on the game. We also can look forward to Pokemon Crystal being released onto the eShop. I played through the Pokemon Gold and Silver eShop re-releases on the Virtual Console, and they're really fun. They look great on the 3DS, and you can now put your Pokemon from Gold and Silver and now Crystal into your newer Pokemon games, which you couldn't do that before if you had like the old Game Boy Color games. But the cool thing is that Pokemon Crystal introduced a female playable character, they had movable sprites, and I think they also introduced shiny Pokemon, which is really cool. And if you buy Pokemon Crystal on your 3DS Virtual Console, you will be able to participate in the Celebi event, which was something that never came to America in the original releases of Gold, Silver, and Crystal. So you'll be able to experience something new, which is kind of cool. Next up, we have the next addition to Shovel Knight. It is King of Cards. It's really cool to see how an indie developer is able to make something so successful and have so much support because they took time into making a really good game. The add-on is going to provide a fresh new experience for people who love that old 8-bit side-scrolling platformer gameplay, and if you have a 3DS, you can play it on the go, which isn't something you can do unless you have a Switch. So pick it up. Number 4 on this list goes to the Alliance Alive. Now, I haven't actually played this game yet, or the predecessor, which is called The Legend Legacy. It's all made by the same team, but I think this story is standalone in its own sense. But the game actually looks promising if you are into the JRPG style. The Japanese reviews of this game are higher than the previous game in their series, which means they fixed a lot of the issues that The Legend Legacy had. And one thing I can really appreciate is that this game actually looks like it was built for the 3DS, and that's something that I can appreciate. It reminds me a little bit of almost like the Pokemon art style for like the people, like what we saw in X and Y. So it's cool to see like that art style kind of brought in for a different type of gameplay altogether. So check it out if you're into JRPGs. Continuing the list of JRPGs released in 2018, we can also take a look at Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. This game is actually a re-release or a port of Radiant Historia for the original DS. It's another fantasy JRPG, so if you're into that, you might like it. And while I'm not a huge fan of the JRPG genre as a whole, only really playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I can say it's really cool when any game developer goes back to a game that's 7 years old and adds new content and optimizes their game for a new console. So check that out if you want another JRPG to play. I'm gonna butcher the name of this next game so hard, so bear with me. Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey Redux. I gotta be close on that, I hope. Just like the previous title, this game is a re-release on the 3DS of a DS game, but instead of a fantasy JRPG game, it's more of a futuristic military JRPG, but still has fantasy elements in the game. It looks cool, and from the opening sequence alone, it actually looks something that I would maybe try out just because the story looks neat, so I'll probably actually be picking this game up. I kind of like the art style, I don't know. Number 7 goes to Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age. Okay, so this is the last JRPG on the list, but it's nice to see that the 3DS is still getting some love with a major release of a game. But besides the typical JRPG elements that this game has, it also has an emphasis on exploration, which is something I can appreciate out of any video game. On top of that, while the 3DS might not have the same graphics that the Switch or the PS4 is going to have, it does optimize the second screen, and you can use the second screen for like some 16-bit action going on there, from what I've read. I haven't played through the game yet, but it actually looks promising, and I might pick this one up as one final hurrah for my 3DS before I put it away, other than when I play Animal Crossing or an old Pokemon game. Okay, so I had to really dig to find 10 full games that are coming out on the 3DS, because honestly, there's only a fraction of announcements for games on the 3DS compared to what we had last year. So it really shows that Nintendo isn't emphasizing the future of the 3DS so much, especially with how well the Switch has sold. But I found 3 more games, so don't you guys worry, they just might not be the best games in the whole world. We got Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. It's like a puzzle game where you make sushi. Who wouldn't love that? But if you're into puzzle type games, there is actually some really cool music, and the art style's kind of cool, so that might be something you'd be interested in. I always thought Nintendo had a high level of quality control with what they let on their eShop, but apparently with the 3DS wrapping up, they don't care anymore because they're letting Operation Cobra come to their console. No, this isn't a joke. This is what the game actually looks like. The graphics look worse than Roblox, and it looks like a 12-year-old designed everything. Or maybe someone younger. I think a 12-year-old could probably design a better looking game than this game. But from the trailer, it looks broken, clunky, and boring. But it's a game coming out on the 3DS, so you can check it out. I'm not lying about this game. It's listed on Nintendo's website as an upcoming game to look forward to. So, I don't know. Nintendo, why? Don't forsaken the 3DS. And lastly on this list, we're looking at Jake Hunter Detective Story Ghost of the Dusk. It actually doesn't look too bad. It's more of a graphic novel told in a video game text-based adventure, kind of like those choose your own adventure games, but you get to play as a detective. So if you're into detective type stuff, this game might be an easy pickup to kill some hours on, and maybe you will like it. So that's it, guys. That's 10 games coming out on the 3DS in 2018. If you're excited, let me know. It's kind of sad. There's nothing huge to really excite me, other than Kirby, which comes out in January. So, I mean, Nintendo could still surprise us and announce more things, but I really think they're going to focus in on the Switch after the first quarter of 2018 ends. And I'm okay with that. I think the Switch is a great console. I think the 3DS had a great life. If you're new to the 3DS, go back and check out some of the older games. Now's the perfect time to have a 3DS because all the games are out. You don't have to wait. You can be that patient gamer and pick up Animal Crossing because I need people to play with. My Discord's down below. The Pokemon games are great. So check out all the awesome games on the 3DS if you're new. 2018 might not be the best year for new games, but there's still some good games out there. So check it out, guys. If you enjoyed this video, though, hit the like button down below. Leave a comment with what 3DS game was your favorite, and we will see you guys next time with a brand new video. Bye, guys.